Hi YouTube friends, it's Victoria from Victoria Makes. I have a son's birthday in January. You may have already seen my Bailey's cheesecake recipe, and I did that using leftovers from Christmas for my son's birthday in January, because I've got another son who also has his birthday in January, and I know he likes Millionaire slices, so I thought I'd make some of those today, and I'll probably incorporate them and cut them up a little bits and put them on a chocolate cake. But what I wanted to do actually is compare condensed milks, which are the main ingredients for the caramel part in the middle of a Millionaire slice. And on the shelves you will have seen plain condensed milk. They also now do one which is a caramel. Alright, so that's your two tins. I can see them all right. And I thought what we'll do is try and compare them. Obviously, with plain condensed milk, it's boiled up with sugar and then it turns into the caramel sauce. And this one is already done, so it'll be worth comparing at the end of it, which is the better. I would presume if you do it yourself and add the sugar, you'll have a greater quantity than obviously the pre-bought cans. So you may then have to buy 2 of these cans, whereas adding sugar to this possibly will increase the volume and double it up. So we'll try it out. So it'll be a good little test, and I'll show you how easy it is to make a Millionaire slice. And it's really lovely, easy to make, quite quick. It is. You have to do it in 3 stages, but it's not hard. Shortbread on the base, caramel in the middle, and thick chocolate on the top. So let's get on to the recipe. Right, so the recipe is quite simple. Preheat your oven to about 160 degrees centigrade, which is about gas mark 3. And then this makes about 18. So first of all, you need to do your shortbread first. So for the base, I'm using 220 grams of butter or margarine, 280 grams of plain flour, a pinch of salt, and 120 grams of sugar. Now they didn't have any plain sugar, normal granulated white sugar in the supermarket today, so I'm using up some brown sugar. It'll enrich the base so it'll be more golden. So you make up the base first. All you do is rub the butter into the flour with the sugar so it like forms breadcrumbs really, and then knead it into a ball and then press it down evenly in the prepared tin. And the prepared tin is a square tin if you've got it, 7-inch square. If you've got a loose bottom one, it makes it a lot easier, but I've put parchment paper in the bottom of mine so I can lift it out at the end. And you need to bake that in the oven for about 25 minutes and leave to cool, so that then you can actually add the middle part, which will be the caramel. So we'll get on with the base first of all. Okay guys, so I've brought you down so you can see what I'm doing. So in the bowl I've put the flour, just weighed out all the butter or margarine and place that in, and then let's weigh out the muscovado sugar. And what I'm doing is I'm just using some lovely rich brown sugar up from Christmas, and as I said, we need about 120 grams of that. I did have some left over, so we're going to make the Christmas cake. And do you know what, we didn't get around to it this year. So busy around Christmas and the end of November, it's usually when I do it stir up Sunday, that sort of time. But I'm finding most of the family don't really eat it, and I eat most of it. I'm trying to now think about what I'm eating and lose some weight again. So if I don't have everything, it's not as much to tempt me, is there? So 120 grams of that lovely dark muscovado sugar. Oh, it smells absolutely lovely, friends. Oh, so rich and treacly. That's what I'm using. I'd really recommend that instead of the white sugar personally. But it's all about sort of trying to use up things that you've actually got in the pantry. And I think January is a great time to set yourself a bit of a challenge and sort of use everything up, saving a bit of money in the process, and maybe just doing things that ordinarily you wouldn't do, you know, or make. So it has its advantages, doesn't it? And then you get everything used up. What I'm doing now is next video that I make for you will be a grapefruit marmalade, because February time is fantastic. The Seville oranges are all in. But what I'm going to do this year, instead of just doing your ordinary orange marmalade, I'm going to get some grapefruits and make grapefruit marmalade for a change. I do like the lime marmalade as well, just for a change. So it was really funny because I got my husband to put quite a lot of my jam jars away, about another dozen back into storage, only about 3 or 4 days ago. And then I've just been now and said, can you get them out again, love, because I want to make some more preserves. I have got about 8 jars of jam on the side. They were the blackberry ones and the raspberry, and some, I think there's 1 crab apple, oh no, rose hip jelly, there's 1 of those left. So I'm kind of getting quite low because I gave a lot out for Christmas presents. So it's time to make some more, isn't it? And I love having like a pantry of all different jams. What I try and do is, if I'm having toast, cut out butter and have just lovely jam on top. And when I've made my own, it's lovely because there's a lot of fruit to sugar, more fruit to sugar sometimes. I mean, I do half and half recipes, but generally there might be a little bit more fruit. Right, so it's all come together now. Okay, you've got like, it's not breadcrumbs really, it's all like thick, stodgy lot, like gloopy bits. But that's great because that'll be perfect to get in the tin. And then it melts all down and then makes a great base. So let's get a tin and show you. So basically I've just put, as I say, parchment paper in the bottom of this, so it makes it a lot easier when it's cooked to get it out. Plus your washing at the end of the day is a lot easier as well. And I'm doing this with everything now. I'm putting this parchment paper in to all the baking tins, even if I put like chicken in and stuff like that, because seriously, it really does help. All the less washing up, a lot less water use, washing up liquid, you know, because it doesn't burn and catch on the bottom of your pan as much. And it's only a bit of parchment paper, so you know, it's good, a lot easier. It's like these linings you can buy, you know, for pans and air fryers, cake pans, cake tins. It really helps saving on the washing up. Right, now because this dark muscovado sugar is quite lumpy in parts, I can see that there's quite a few like big brown blobs. But you know what, they will be nice because they'll go all caramelised and crusty in the oven, and I think that will actually add to the flavour. So straight into the oven, like I said, friends, for about 25 minutes, and I'll show you shortly what it looks like when it comes out. The carnation milk in the plain form, what has been out for years and years, and then several years ago they've brought this one out, haven't they, which is a caramel one, which is already done for you. But what we're going to do is we're going to make this one up for the recipe as you would normally do it. Now the filling is 110 grams of margarine, 2 tablespoons of golden syrup, 110 grams of light brown soft sugar. Well, I'm going to use that dark muscovado again, and then a tin of condensed milk and a few drops of vanilla extract. What you do with that is you slowly melt the margarine, the syrup, the sugar and the condensed milk together. Bring to the boil and still stirring, simmer gently for about 7 minutes. Then you add that vanilla extract and pour it onto the base and leave it to cool. So when we get that base out of the oven, then we can start doing the middle section, which is your nice caramel sauce. And as I said before, we're going to compare it then. I'll make the actual recipe up for the middle section, and then what we'll do is open the tin of the caramel and have a little look at that and sort of compare the consistency. I'll taste both and I'll give you sort of my overall views on each and see which really is the better, and if it's worth actually investing the time and all the other ingredients to make your own. For a price comparison, this plain condensed milk was £1.80. This was at Sainsbury's in January 2023. This caramel, bought on the same day, was £1.95. So the difference is only 15 pence. Now, if you think about what we're going to add to the plain tin, which is the sugar, well, 110 grams of this is roughly going to cost you, I would say, I think this was about £2, something like that, just over £2, and there's 500 grams. So we're taking out probably a quarter, let's say, just slightly less than, but a quarter. So if it's cost about £2.20, for example, you're talking about 55p, aren't you? So you've already gone over the actual price of the comparable already done tin. And you've got to also put golden syrup in and your margarine. So, you know, it's going to double up the cost of a plain tin, isn't it? I would say it probably works out probably just under £3, and that was £1.95. You know, so on price I wouldn't think it would be worth it, but if it's double the quantity, and we shall see the quantity at the end of it, we'll see what we want. And also sometimes you have to buy 2 of these to do whatever you want them to do. So we'll have a little look at that in a bit. Right guys, so I've got the brown sugar in the pan and the butter, and I'm going to put 1 tin of the condensed milk in as well. All into the saucepan. We're going to melt it on the hob so it all melts together. Who likes this then? Do you like to have a spoon of it? It's so sweet and creamy, it's absolutely gorgeous. I must confess, I do like to scrape the tin out. Did you used to like to taste the cake mixture when you were a kid? I think it stems from there. I like to have a little bit of condensed milk when I'm using that in a recipe, it's so nice. Right, so I've just added a few drops of vanilla extract, not many, just about 2, because it is quite strong. So I'm just going to mix it all up, and then we'll have it on the hob so it all melts together. So I'm just going to put the golden syrup in because I didn't put it in just before I put it on the hob. 2 tablespoons of golden syrup. So what I'm going to do is test this now and see what it's like and what it tastes like. So it's very thick. The consistency is like very thick custard. So it's very nice. It's a little bit runny. It is quite thick. But I would think that if you're putting it on a Millionaire slice, when you cut into it, it would just all come away. You know, it's not solidified really hard. Whether chilling will make a difference, I don't know. On the back of it, they've put a nice recipe for gnocchi pie, and they do have recipes online, it said as well. So the picture shows almost like a chocolate brownie with this caramel saucy stuff in the middle. I don't know if you can see on the picture, but if you have a little look, it's all like dribbling. So to me, that looks like it could run out, you know. So not quite sure about that, to be honest. We'll compare it with the one that we're making now ourselves and see about which is thicker. So it's kind of all melting. It's getting very hot, very runny, and very sort of brown toffee like. So I'm going to keep bubbling it up, and you're simmering it now for 7 minutes because it's all being brought to the boil. I've also taken out the shortbread. All the brown sugar has melted. It looks a bit like flapjack on the camera, doesn't it? It'll be a nice rich shortbread. So I'm just chilling that down quickly, and I'll put the caramel back on the top. So that'll be the middle section. Right friends, so the caramel is done, and I've been simmering it for a good 7 minutes, and it looks really nice and thick and delicious when it's cold. So at the minute it's still a little bit runny. So in a bit, I'll let it cool a little bit and then I'll show you the consistency because it goes thicker as it cools. And then we'll compare the two before we put it onto the shortbread base. So I'm going to taste it now. So we've got the one that we've made, nice and dark brown, very caramelised, very like toffee, would you like, nice, rich, lovely. And the bought one looks more like a jelly kind of consistency, you know, like a shiny consistency. That might just be because it's been stored a long time, it's in the tin. That's a nice flavour. I think really it's a nice product. As for the volume, I've probably got double the quantity, so I think that has a bearing. So it did cost more, but if you just did half of the amount, which you probably won't be able to, because I mean at the end of the day you've got to open a condensed milk tin anyway, haven't you? So, but you'd have double the quantity. So any recipe that needed double the quantity, then I'd make your own, because that would be cheaper than buying 2 cans at £1.95, wouldn't it? But for time, the bought product is really good. The home one has just got that edge on it where I'd rather make it myself. It's nice and fresh and you know what's gone in it. And it just tastes just slightly better. So I'd go with making my own. But I think if I was pushed for time, and I'd get some of those and just leave them in the cupboard, so that if I needed to whip something up quicker and I didn't want to sort of go about and make it myself, then the bought one's alright. It's like everything, generally speaking, it's lovely to make your own anyway, isn't it? I mean, basically give it as a gift, you know, you've got that love, you've put the time and effort into it, so it's entirely up to you. So it's a personal choice, isn't it? Incidentally, this made one would be absolutely gorgeous served over plain vanilla ice cream. It's a really like luxurious toffee sauce as well. If you were doing a toffee sponge and custard, for example, like a steamed pudding, you can use this for quite a lot of different things. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to pour the one that we've made over the base and then put it for chilling to let it cool down. So I've poured the other tin of condensed milk, the caramel one, on top of this one to make it an extra thick millionaire slice. And then I'm going to now melt the chocolate and cover the whole of it. So we'll chill this down now. Okay then, so we're on to the third stage of the millionaire slices now, guys. So in a bowl I have broken up 300 grams of dark chocolate into little pieces. You don't need as much as that, but we do like a really nice thick layer of chocolate on those. So you could actually have less than that. And the recipe calls for 220 grams for the topping. Now there's plenty of ways really to melt your chocolate. I do it in a plastic bowl in stages in the microwave. So I'll do it for 30 seconds, take it out, give it a stir, back in for 30 seconds. This volume will probably take 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to actually be totally melted. If you prefer the old-fashioned way, get a pan of boiling water and a thick bowl, put the broken chocolate pieces in the bowl, which actually stands on the pan of boiling water, and slowly melt it that way. Make sure no water actually gets into the bowl, so make sure that the bowl is sitting carefully on the top of the pan, but not hopefully in the bottom of the water. So try and leave a little bit of a gap, and then you can melt it that way. So it's entirely what you want to do, but I find the microwave method really quick, very easily. So I'm going to melt this chocolate in the microwave, get it on the top of the slices, and then we're done. Right guys, so this has cooled down nicely. Okay, and what I'm going to do now, and my chocolate has melted beautifully, so it's just really nice pouring tempered chocolate. I'm going to literally just pour the chocolate on top of the millionaire slice and try and get it as even all over the surface as possible and as quick as possible. Because the base is very cold, it will start to solidify very quickly, so you've got to work really quickly on this. And I'll just bring you down to show you what it looks like now. Right guys, so this is the final millionaire slice, and when it's actually cold I will chop it up into portions and it'll be absolutely delicious. I would say that the tinned caramel is pretty much as good as homemade. I prefer the homemade I'd say probably about 80 to 85% towards homemade is 100%, but you know, for quickness and for price, it's value for money, and it's quick. So if you want to put it in your store cupboard and use it when you haven't got the time, then I'd certainly recommend it. But it's really nice. You get probably about 12 to 18 portions out of this. Yeah, enjoy. Thanks for watching.